Welcome back into the Collins It Like It Is podcast. I am your host, Sean Collins, and with me today is my dad, Larry Collins. Dad, thanks for hopping on.
Glad to be here.
Hey, if this is your first time tuning in, we are a Seattle sports podcast. That silly name, Collins It Like It Is. If you're wondering where that comes from, it's from our last name. This is a podcast that we do. Like I said, my name's Sean Collins. Larry Collins is my dad. We also have Stephen Collins, who is my brother, and the three of us kind of do this podcast together. Collins It Like It Is, little dad joke play on words. We've been on Spotify and Apple for 2.5 years. This is actually going to be our 110th episode, but this is only going to be our second episode on YouTube. So if you're watching us on YouTube and you're sitting there going, "Welcome back in from what?" That's an intro really for our Spotify and Apple listeners. So, but like I said, we are a Seattle sports podcast, primarily Mariners. We do talk a little Seahawks when it's football season, but Steven has said it before. We're really a Mariners podcast at the end of the day. So
There you go.
we're going to talk about the Mariners, and we may reference some things that have been said in the previous episodes as we go along, and we'll try and do our best to catch up, kind of our thoughts and takes on the Mariners as we roll. But I think you'll be able to figure it out as we get going. So, Dad, we are now on a 6-game winning streak.
Yes.
Two back-to-back sweeps, huge sweeps.
Yeah.
You took the A's lunch money. I called it a waxing of the or a polishing of the A's rather
Yeah.
than your traditional sweep or mop because that didn't really encapsulate what we did to the A's. We really just polished them. We really
Yeah.
waxed the floor with them. And then
Yeah.
now we have this Diamondback series. You know, the Diamondbacks came in white hot, and this was a real test. And we passed with flying colors. We aced the test, swept the Diamondbacks, and I've come to the realization, Dad, that there's two universal truths that I can come up with as this series has come to a close. You want to know what it is?
All right. So here are your two universal truths.
They're indisputable. You're not going to be able to push back on them. And there's only two. I've been living on this earth for 33 years. I've got two facts that you can't push back.
All right.
Number one, Little Red Corvette by Prince is not about a car. That's number one. I'm
All
positive of
right.
that. Can't push back on that. Number
Can't
two,
say
Julio.
I've followed that.
Number two, Julio Rodriguez is a really good baseball player.
He's been
And
looking good.
man, that is quite the month that he just capped off. What do you have? 10 home runs in the month of May.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
Unreal.
I heard the following and the tracking of Julio, and yeah, he's had one of his best months of his career.
A notoriously slow starter. We had Danny Vietti from CBS Sports on last episode, and he was talking about swing and miss, always an issue with Julio Rodriguez first half.
Mhm.
Man, Julio looks incredible at the plate right now, especially relative to what we're used to seeing Julio Rodriguez do in the month of April and May. Right
Right.
now, man, if he does what he usually does in the second half, I mean, we're looking at that season that we've been waiting for. This is
Exactly.
it. I think he's on pace right now, what, for 30 plus home runs, and with his ability to play center field,
Mhm.
superstar. I mean, not that I'm saying anything new here, but there's only a handful of guys in the league that can do what Julio can do, and it's it's awesome to see him be clutch too. This season has just it just looks like we're seeing the guy be able to put together a full season that we've been waiting for, and it's awesome to see. One thing that I do want to kind of kick us off and talk about though is the piggyback. We ripped,
Right.
yeah, just to kind of give some of these YouTube listeners a glimpse. We hated the piggyback thing from the get go when they didn't put in Munoz for that save situation
Yeah.
in that initial piggyback. We ripped. I shouldn't say we. I ripped Dan Wilson and front office and just said, "What are you doing?" I would stand by that, but at the end of
Sure.
the day, the piggyback wasn't the issue that we really had with this whole scenario. It was the fact that you just stuck to it and didn't have any nuance to the game plan.
Yep.
And the last two piggybacks have been pretty dang great. And
Yeah.
a big reason why you wouldn't want to do that piggyback is, oh, it's going to kill the bullpen. Right now, it's saving the bullpen because every single time you do this piggyback, it's working perfectly.
Both 2 times in a row.
Exactly. And so it's kind of saving the bullpen at this point.
Right.
So, I mean, we can sit there all day long and say, "Oh, the piggyback is nonsense." I have done that at nauseum here, saying, "What are
Oh,
we doing? What are we doing? What are we doing?"
got to have a plan.
At the end of the day, it's working. Like
Yeah.
I'm willing to wear it. Like I'm willing to wear it at this point. I was wrong. The piggyback
Well,
has worked. What's your
if it's,
thoughts?
yeah, like you were saying, it's been working because we've been executing the idea of how we want it to work. That first outing against the White Sox when, yeah, Miller was throwing the no hitter, you don't factor in, let's see, he's no hitting through whatever that was, 5 innings, 6 innings. He didn't have a plan. That's semi understandable that you're not just going to split it 5 to 4 innings.
Hmm.
So they extend Miller a little bit, but it was the after effect that was the problem. So they wanted to give Castillo his pitches, number of pitches, so they kept him in a 1 run game. And that was not having a plan of what are we going to do with in the ninth inning in a close game.
Yeah.
So to me, that it was a little fiasco-ish because they
Hmm.
didn't have that initial executing a plan um, at the end of a game. But I think the last 2 times with Castillo starting, he going four, and then Miller finishing, that could have been handled a little bit because we saw what happened with the dugout reaction
Yeah.
because the A's,
Yeah.
their their clubhouse is down wherever it is, in right field line, left field line, wherever it's not behind the dugout,
Yeah.
their clubhouse. So that was a little embarrassing, I'm sure, for Dan and maybe Castillo and the team, because after that, Dipoto had a little meeting with Castillo and Miller and
Yeah.
whoever else was there. But
Clearly, Dan wasn't communicating what
no,
he needed to because they were not on the same page at all.
they were not. So I think the last 2 times I thought it had been perfect.
Yeah.
And, what a problem to have. We got 6 major league starter
Yeah.
quality pitchers. That's a good problem to have. And it's not Dan's fault. It's not Jerry's fault that 6 pitchers are pitching great. Well, Castillo isn't pitching great. That's why he had to do the piggyback.
Right now he looks good. He looks
Oh,
very
he
good.
looks really good. I mean, if
Yep.
this has to be obviously the best he's looked this season is the last. I would even say the 3 appearances that he did piggyback when he started. I like to call it dual starters. This piggyback is little, junior
Sure.
highish. I'm around junior hires enough,
Yeah.
30 years of it. So the dual starters, whatever you want to call it, Castillo's actually looked really well, except for that ninth inning where they didn't have a plan. They wanted to give him his number of pitches.
Yep.
That's really the only time he didn't look good in the 3 renditions of the dual starts.
Yeah. The one thing that I had an issue with that initial start, like if I was to really boil it down, it's that they prioritized getting Castillo his pitches over winning the ball game. And the point of the game is to win the game.
Exactly. Yep.
And they prioritized his pitch count over just putting Munoz in and shoving and slamming the
Right.
door. So
I agree.
yeah, let's move on to what we saw from Brian Wu today. I thought that Brian Wu looked about as good as he's looked this season, and that's
Well,
awesome
yesterday.
because the correct, yeah,
Yeah,
correct.
yesterday.
Brian Wu, I thought he looked about as good as
He looked-
he's looked all season,
Yep.
and when Brian Wu is on, he's an ace.
Yeah.
I think he's the one ace we got. When he's on, he's about as good as it gets in the American League.
Yep.
What'd you see from Brian Wu?
He was just dotting the strike zone all over. He was hitting the top rail. He was hitting the outside corners, inside, keeping batters off balance. I mean, Woo, I was going to text you in about the third inning that we might have ourselves a no hitter
Yeah.
because that's how good he was. He was just lighting up the strike zone, and I thought he was fantastic.
Yep.
Of course, he did give up the hit, and so that all was for naught. Darn it.
Yep.
But yeah, he couldn't have looked any better. His pitch count was low, and that's what you want from the number one pitcher. Am I going to call him an ace yet? I'm not calling him an ace yet. Did he
All
have the
star.
highest? Yeah, definitely an all-star. I think he's definitely a number one pitcher, and not just because he's the best pitcher on a bad rotation. He is a number one pitcher, but I'm not going to say he's an ace yet until he puts it all together for a full season. It's too bad last year he got hurt at the end
Yep.
because he could have put himself in that A ace category.
Yep. Yeah, no, like you're saying, Brian Wu isn't just a number one because he's a, opening day starter on a bad team. He's a number one on a legit World Series contender. And
Right.
it's crazy that, Brian Wu has developed into this,
Hmm.
now we're going on, you know, basically
Right.
2 seasons at this point of Brian Wu proving that he is a top of the line starter in the American League. It's
Hmm.
pretty incredible with that arm slot, the two fastballs he has that are drastically different, and him being able to do what he can do with that slider as well is it makes him
Hmm.
just wicked,
Yeah.
just absolutely
Yeah.
wicked.
It's fun to watch.
It is.
And
It's a ton of fun to watch.
yeah, so I have a spreadsheet of the Mariners, and so I just always put in the order of the pitchers of like who do I think is our one, two, three, four, five,
Mhm.
and I guess six now. And so, I had Hancock just because of his stats at the top, and then I go, that just doesn't look right. So,
Yep.
of course, I cut and paste and put Wu at the top because he is our number one.
Yep.
But yeah, it's a good problem to have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, then in that game one, we're kind of going in reverse order here, talking about the piggyback and then Brian Wu, and now I'm going to talk about game one in the series. I think JP Crawford may have had the best game of his career in that game one against the Diamondbacks. 2 home runs, game-saving play defensively. I mean, we've given a lot of criticism to JP Crawford, and
Hmm.
rightfully so. He really has no range at this point. But one thing, and we kind of touched on this, I wish I would have articulated my point a little bit better in our last episode. But I do think after seeing JP Crawford and really, thinking about it harder, I think he's going to be perfectly fine when they make that transition to third base because he's very
Oh,
quick with
yep.
one step. If he just has to make one step
We
and
saw it.
he does it consistently. He's when there's a 105-mile-an-hour ball off the bat, and all he needs to do is range right or left one step, he can make that play all day long. And it's what makes JP Crawford even serviceable at this point defensively because he has no range. But I think once
Right.
he makes that shift to third base, I think that's just gonna play up
Yeah.
his
Yeah.
abilities. And um, now he's on pace for like 25 dingers too. Like all of a
Yeah.
sudden you're looking at JP Crawford going, this is a pretty ideal third baseman. He's hitting for some pop. Uh,
Maybe because he came up as a prospect as a bat only.
yeah.
Because that was his calling card when he got drafted by the Phillies.
Hmm.
And he was an offensive shortstop.
Yeah.
And obviously we know what we did with Seager. He was a middle infielder, second base shortstop. We
Yep.
turned him into a third baseman and we bulked him up and um, trained his little power swing. If we can do that at the end of JP's career, because if you look at the free agents next year in for third baseman, there's really not a
There's
market for
nothing.
third base yet.
Yep.
So him, even when JP offered to go to third, and if Seattle doesn't sign him, he might be the top of the market third baseman,
Yeah.
as
Totally.
weird as it sounds. So it's actually maybe in his best interest to go to third,
Hmm.
and if he can continue the power surge that he's been showing at the beginning of this year
Hmm.
and get to where he was, it's a long time ago being a prospect, but if he can get into that offensive mindset, get a power swing, and think that's his role, he might be onto something for the end of his career.
I think so. Yeah, I think so. Um, You know, what I've also been thinking about too is I think you're totally right. I think that this is as much as we want to say JP Crawford's just being a great teammate and, I think he sees,
Yeah,
dude, I could get a lot of money. I could probably get more money if I can prove I can play third base at a high level than if I just stick at shortstop because if he
yeah,
just sticks at shortstop, what's going to happen is he's just going to get treated like a second baseman this offseason. But
Hmm.
if he can go over to
Sure.
third base, because I don't see that as much of a like demotion, or anything
Right.
like that. Third base is still a premium defensive position,
Sure.
and I just don't see that as being like, relegated to third base. Like third base is a critical spot. If you're not good at third base, you're going to get exposed. We saw that with Leo Rivas. So I do think that if he can prove he can play third base, he's going to get paid, and he's going to get paid a lot. Um, so
Right.
I do think that this is probably in everyone's best interest. When
Hmm.
do you think that we'll actually see this? Because I think it's inevitable. I think we're going to see this. My guess is
And
probably in the next couple of weeks, but when do you actually think that
I
this
would
could go
agree.
down?
There was some rumblings that it might happen in Sacramento.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know how realistic that was, but it's been talked now for two series.
Hmm.
I don't see why it couldn't happen on the road when because they go to, I know they're going to Baltimore and to um, Nationals. I think there's a series, Detroit. Yes, so it's Detroit, Baltimore, and the Nationals. So I think we could see it then because, I mean, Colt Emerson is just looking like he belongs,
Yeah,
and
he looks awesome.
yeah, and his defense is, I mean, he's quick. You can see he's quick,
Yep.
and JP's quick. That's JP's strong point, like you already said. That I think JP can play third base,
I think so.
and it's just, is he going to be a prototypical third baseman? Obviously not right this moment. He's not, um, but he can. I think he can with one step and dive. He can do that.
Yeah.
And the range of Colt, he's going to take shortstop. He's going to be fun to watch. And his
Yep.
bat, he just looks like he he's only been however many plate appearances he's had here in a few weeks, but he's not intimidated by major league pitching at all. You can tell he's tracking the ball. He's got good swings, and he's got a great approach, and
Yep.
he knows what he's doing up there.
Yep. For sure. One thing I want to also talk about is Luke Raley. I think there's a discussion that needs to be had about Luke Raley, and it's a good one. It's a fun one. But at some point, we talked about this a few episodes ago with Dominic. He was on, and
Right,
he was talking about how, and I think he was spot on. Luke Raley is a platoon player
right.
because he's always been a platoon player. He was brought up that way. He's thought of that way. There's no breaking that mold, or that profile. But I do think at some point it's like, dude, Luke Raley's got what, a 950 OPS at this point, 13
He's,
home
he's
runs.
hit right. He's leading
Like
our
it's
team.
at some point you just need to play him against lefties because that just gives the other team another thing to think about. Um,
Yeah,
I think at some point, because at this point, if the All Star game is tomorrow, Luke Raley's probably in the All
he,
Star game. Like
he could be. Yeah, he's got 13 homers, 280 average, 932 OPS. Yeah, he's slugging the ball.
I just think at some point, again, he's, in my opinion, these numbers are unbelievable. I mean, we're talking
Mhm.
about prime, Juan Soto at this
Right.
point, against
Yeah.
righties here. So I just think it gives the other team something really to think about if you can just plug him into the six hole and just know Luke Raley's coming
Hmm.
around, and or maybe you even put him up higher in the order and okay, you want to bring in a lefty, to face Raley, that's fine. We're gonna leave Raley in the game, but here's Julio Rodriguez,
Yeah.
like right
Right.
behind. I don't know. I just think that there may be something more that you could do to maximize Luke Raley at this point because he is.
Hmm.
I mean,
Yeah.
again, we're going into June here. Like this isn't some
Yeah.
small sample. We've got a. He's clearly having his best season that he'll ever have,
Oh,
and
right.
Luke Raley
Well,
has always been a hot, cold player, and we haven't really seen him cool off. We're either about to see a
he had a little dip. He had a little dip
yeah,
there, beginning of May. But yeah, he's on a pace of what, 40 home runs and 90 RBIs, and
yeah,
even today when we could predict when Dan is going to bring in the righties to the platoons with
yep,
Rayleigh and Canzone. Today he kept Rayleigh in there, and it was the right call.
yep,
And Raley didn't look overmatched against a lefty. He wasn't, swinging off balance. I
Yeah,
mean, yeah, he popped up to center, but that happens all the time with
sure.
with matchups.
Yeah.
But if he could just hit respectably for, against left-handers and stays in there for right-handers, he could definitely be that right fielder we've been looking for the past few years,
Hmm.
to be a full-time right fielder.
Yeah. I think we're getting close to the idea of maybe giving him some at bats against lefties, like you saw today. Keep him in, don't pinch hit for him. And then, if he, can get 50, 60 plate appearances, see how he looks. I'm not necessarily looking at
Right.
numbers, just eye test. Is he 50% K rate here? Like if it looks respectable, I think you might have to roll with him just
Mhm.
because I mean, you get a guy with an OPS that starts with a 9, you probably don't want to platoon that guy.
Right.
You know, it,
Then you got to ask yourself, is it because he's facing righties, not lefties, that he has the
yeah,
numbers he has? So, but he has the numbers what he has. So, I mean, they're not fake numbers.
yeah.
It's 150 at bats, and he's showing a trend, and that trend is looking like it's going in the right direction.
That is probably the argument to keep him in his role, keep him down that 6, 7 hole because you may just be sitting there going, don't mess with it. This is really
Right.
working. I think it's also why Randy is still hitting in the 3, 4 hole. Ideally, I think Randy Rosarena right now would be the perfect leadoff hitter. But it's like,
Yeah.
okay, we saw how that went last year. You probably don't want to try that again. Could be the same exact mindset.
Right.
Of hey, they're thriving in this spot in the lineup, in this situation. They know what's coming in terms of game plan. Why screw with it?
Right.
That's the reverse argument, but again,
I also I'm also thinking that it's probably a left, right, left, right. You know, the matchup, the batting order.
yeah,
Having JP at left. If you put Randy at the top, then you have, you know, Julio batting second, who's also a right-hander, and then you got two lefties.
yeah,
So I think Dan and Jerry just like to break up, even though I think Dan does make the lineup. uh, They like to break up the the bulk of the same-handed hitting throughout the
yeah,
lineup. So split it up, left,
yeah.
right, left, right.
Speaking of the lineup, I was actually looking at this today. When we're fully healthy, Donovan and Cal Raleigh are gonna come in, and you'd assume Pareda and Wisdom are out.
Right.
That would essentially, if you look at how our lineup would break down, we don't have a infielder excuse me, infielder on the bench at that point. So, do you think that that could be an issue where we see somebody like a Ref Snyder DFA'd? Because if you have this situation, think about it. You'd have at this point, you'd probably put Donovan out in the outfield. You'd probably be DHing Luke Raley, and then the rest of the lineup is the lineup. Cal Raleigh would obviously jump in for Pareda and Garver, but think about it.
Hmm.
You would have no infielder on the bench at that point. And I don't know if anybody's thought about that or not, but Colt Emerson coming up, that takes one of your bench players. It was Leo
Right.
Ribas. He was the roster move for Leo Ribas. We don't have an
Hmm.
infielder at that point. Do you think
Yeah.
that's a problem? Because I do. I don't know. It would,
Well, yeah, it definitely is a problem, but it's a problem similar to the piggyback.
yeah,
Is you're going to deal with the problem when it's a problem.
yeah.
So, yeah, what's Donovan going to do? Is he really going to go out to right field?
And that's what they
Uh,
said. They said he's going
yeah.
to primarily play the outfield, but I also think he's
Hmm.
probably going to DH. And
Because
when
you
he's
got to give
DHing,
DH days to Cal also,
yeah,
which
I don't know.
so
It seems like we're an infielder short here,
yeah,
but
yeah. Rough Snyder, I yeah. So Paredes obviously gonna go. Wisdom's gonna go. So we
yeah.
we got all that. Um, I don't
Yeah,
know.
you're see, I'm telling you,
Um,
the train is coming down the road. I'm
the,
just telling
but
people now.
Rough Snyder, he can play second base. He can play first base. I mean,
I
I think
don't know.
Rough Snyder.
I mean, I can play second base. I mean, I can,
No,
I can stand there.
well, we'd have to look at his baseball reference sheet there. And how many times? I think he's played the infield.
Ty
I don't
France
think
played
it.
the infield one time too. I don't know if I need him to be
No,
the
I'd put
when
Russ
so you're
Snyder
telling me
at second.
when somebody gets pinch hit for the default is Rob Snyder playing second base. I'm out.
I
I'm out on this plan.
I think we're going to see less platoons. Maybe
Yeah.
it's playing into the perfect scenario. Get rid of
Yeah.
the platoons.
Yep.
Make your everyday lineup and have Donovan rotate around, give people breaks that way. And
Yep.
so actually, we don't need that extra
Yeah.
player on the bench. We got Ruff Snyder for that emergency.
Yep. It's
And
actually kind of a crazy when everybody's healthy. You're gonna have a player like Dom Canzone. Like let's just say playoffs
yeah,
started tomorrow, and we've
right.
got everybody healthy. Dom Canzone is sitting on the bench. It's crazy. Like I can't.
Well, yeah, that's a good problem to have.
That's a great problem to have. Dom
Yeah.
Canzone's a really good hitter. He's a really good
Oh,
player.
yeah. Now
And
I think his splits in a platoon is probably still on the table for him.
yeah, but it's interesting. It's really
Mhm.
interesting to see what they're going to do when this all shakes out because
Mhm.
you're going to have a really good quality major
Oh,
league
yeah.
player that's going to get booted. They
Mhm.
are going to for the regular season. I'm sure they're going to rotate DH and make sure everybody's
Right.
fresh. And
Mhm.
my guess is they're probably going to run away with this division too. And you're probably not going to
Right.
need to really be pressing, grinding, in terms of like, oh, gotta make sure we have our best lineup that we can possibly have every game because we're just in this dogfight in September. I don't think that that's going to be the scenario, honestly. I bet you we win this
Right.
division by 10 games.
And it's looking that way. Sacramento, they're coming down to earth. They still
Yeah.
have good top of their lineup. I still think they're one of the deeper young teams in the major leagues. And, Severino he's going on the IL now. And so that's going to hurt. They're going to, yeah, start coming down the ladder a little bit
Yeah.
because they're still growing at the top of their lineup. The bottom of the lineup is, it'll take time for them to fill those holes.
Yep.
But yeah, the guy that came in and pitched the lefty did his debut. Uh, he's got a future, but
Yeah.
not this year.
No. No, the A's they had no business leading that division as long as they did. The Mariners handed them a gift. But again, for the people on YouTube watching this, we said, or at least I said, when we got off to that 4-9 start, all I said was get through May 500. And
Right.
well, and we were going to be fine. And I told you if we did that, the vibes would be high.
They're flying.
Was I right?
You're definitely 2 games above isn't anything to cheer about, except for where you started. So
Yeah.
yeah, very, very happy.
Yeah.
Um, yeah,
June has
took
always
a
been when we kind of June, July is kind of when we always take off the ramp. And I
right.
said if we get through 500, we're in a great spot. And I feel like, man, we are in a great spot right now.
Yeah, yeah. And we're the hottest team, and we just beat the hottest team. So now we are us and the Dodgers are the last 10, 8 and
Hmm.
2, and so it's always the Dodgers. They always are right on our shoulder.
Yeah,
Well, we're probably on their shoulder, really, but
we're probably not going to get a season
Dodgers.
next year because of the Dodgers, but that's a whole nother
Yeah.
conversation there. Um, yeah, another great positive from this series. They continued what they did last series, but that bullpen is for real. I mean, it's crazy because Munoz is probably one of your weaker links right now in the bullpen.
Yeah.
Ferrer and Brash. Brash had a little bit of a tough go, but you can live with it. When
Mhm.
you're,
Right.
I can live with your bullpen getting got every once in a while.
Right.
That happened game one. If we would have lost that game, all right, fine. That happens. It's when the things that are hard to swallow is when, the piggyback blows up in your face and that kind of stuff. And that's when we
Right.
all, lost it on that episode. But I can, Brash has
Right.
a rough outing, whatever. But overall, the bullpen has been pretty darn good.
Mhm. Sure.
So Frere has
I
been phenomenal.
Yeah, I think our bullpen, is an area where we're going to add probably at the deadline because Hopi would
Yeah, that ain't
uh,
it.
no, I mean innings eater, and you do need pitchers that'll eat innings, but you hope that innings eater can also be someone you can count on if you get into a role and you get into a winning streak and you're using your bullpen and you need somebody to know, shut down another team.
Yeah.
Legamina, he had a stretch a few years ago and last year where he could be relied on to be go in with a lead
Hmm.
and shut down a team. And you need those as your number 8 bullpen arm right
Yeah.
now. So, I mean, if our number 8 bullpen arm is all we need at the deadline, that'd be great. But we'll probably need more than that. We'll probably need both our 7 and 8 arm increase. But we'll see how we go through June, July. We still have two months before trade deadline season.
Yeah.
Although I'm sure we'll talk about it a
Yeah.
lot, at least in our texts and our conversations.
Yeah, it's interesting. Every year we've always said, and we've always done our mock drafts around getting a bat. Oh, we're always a bat short. Right now we got an extra we got extra bats lying
That's
around.
right.
We got guys coming off the bench that are soon, not yet,
Right.
but we can see down the road our extra bats are Cal
Hmm.
Raleigh and Brendan Donovan, and that's a real pitch that the front office can sell the fan base, and it's not just a bunch of
Right.
baloney because we've been told that in the past. Oh, well, when this guy comes back, he's our trade deadline. They did that with Kellenic. Oh, we're gonna bring up
Right.
Kellenic. That's our trade deadline acquisition. It's like, well, that
Yeah.
what? That doesn't make any sense. Um,
Although, you know, speaking about the back end of your bullpen, Kate Anderson could be called up, August, September, probably September,
yeah,
and be that number 7, 8 bullpen arm.
he might be that
And
bulk reliever potentially.
sure.
We talked about that yesterday, or not yesterday, but previous episode, that Tim Lincecum
Oh,
2012
right.
role
Hmm.
where you need 2 or 3 innings to bridge.
Right.
I could see Kate Anderson falling into that role right away.
Hmm. Yeah.
Because right now in Double A, he doesn't pitch more than four. If you
Yeah.
look at his
Five
lines,
innings.
yeah,
He's around 70 pitches.
yep,
But
yep, he's right in that. His line it will be 4.1 innings, 8 strikeouts,
I think
no
he had
runs.
16 strikeouts, didn't he?
I don't,
Maybe I made that up,
I don't
but
know.
I think he had 16 in 5 innings.
Was that him or was that Sloan? Sloan, like,
Sloan lit it up
uh,
yesterday, today, whatever. They're all running together. But yeah, Gate Anderson, then Sloan.
yeah,
And actually, no, today was Casey Lawrence. He
yeah,
pitched well. So yeah, so when Anderson, Sloan, Lawrence.
yep.
So
So a lot of talent in this
yeah,
system, man. It's
it's a good
pretty.
problem to have. How about Celestine going up to number 17 overall in Keith Law's rankings? That I'm not buying that
He's
because
got a
he
27-year-old in his top 25, so I don't know how much I want
Keith Law.
to. Yeah, I
Yeah.
don't know. I don't know about that list, but yeah, Celestin. In my opinion, he's probably the top prospect on Everett's squad right now, which
Sure.
is a big statement because
Yep.
you also have Celestin, or you also have Farmelo on that
Yep.
roster, and but I would say Celestin's probably their top guy, and he'll probably move
Mhm.
up to Double A after the draft. So
I would think so. Yep.
he's looking a little too good for old Single A.
Yep.
Ryan Scott, he coached him up too well over there. He's got the boys playing too well. Um, yeah, I mean, right now the Mariners are on quite a tear, and it's really exciting. It's not always going to be this good. It's not always going to be
Right.
this hot. The lineup isn't going to always put together, 7-5, runs back to back against,
Hmm.
quality arms like the Diamondbacks have. You know, in the A's series, we scored 22 runs. I mean, the bats right now
Right.
are just
Hmm.
unbelievable.
I know. How
Um,
how many games straight have we had double digit hits?
oh, I
I
don't know.
mean,
Wouldn't be able
it's
to tell you that.
yeah, been several games that we've had double digit hits.
Yep.
And that's awesome.
Yeah. So we faced the lowly Mets. A lot of talent on that team, but man, they are bad. So hopefully we can win a series there. And then we go and face Detroit, which has really been a struggling ball club. I don't know if
Hmm.
we'll face Scooble or not. Um, but regardless, the Tigers have just been a disaster this year. Still a talented club that you got to
Hmm.
respect. And then we go and face Baltimore, and then the Nationals. So
Hmm.
uh, again, you hope by middle of June that we're sitting 5-6
Yeah.
games above 500
Hmm.
and starting to really distance ourselves. I'm really, if we had said at the mid-April, hey, we're hoping to be 500 by the end of May. What I'm really looking for by the end of June is to get, a 5, 6 game lead in this division.
Yep.
I'm probably looking to be, let's see, if we're 2 games above 500 right now, I probably want to be 6, 7 games above 500 by the end of
Right.
June, right somewhere in
Mhm.
that range.
Right.
So that's what I'm looking for. I think it's right there in front of
Mhm.
you. We got no clubs coming up that are just, oh boy, we don't have any Dodgers, Yankees, Rays,
Right.
Padres on the schedule. So I think it's a
Mhm.
realistic goal.
I think so because Baltimore, they're they've just gone down the last 2 years, and they're not a shouldn't be a threat
Yeah.
that we can't handle. Washington, they're scrappy, but we should be able to handle that lineup.
Yep.
And Detroit, who knows what's going on with them?
Yeah.
Well, Scooble's not there, and they got Valdez,
Yeah.
the Houston pitcher.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's no reason why we couldn't extend our lead, get a comfortable cushion above 500. There's no reason we can't do that.
Yeah. Well, we'll see what happens. Anything else you wanted to bring up before we sign off, Dad?
No, I just wonder if this little piggyback did put a spark into our team because that's when the seems like the light switch flipped.
Yeah.
Did the team galvanize? Did they feel the frustration of Miller and Castillo, and the team just said, "Hey, we're gonna take it out on the other team," because it seems like when the piggyback happened, something changed with our team, and we've turned it around. We're playing like what we expected to see this year with quality at bats. Our pitching has been lights out. Castillo has been, I would say, his last 3 outings with piggyback has been outstanding, and I just wonder if the piggyback flipped a switch.
Yeah. It's not all just the numbers. You can also just see it. The team is playing with so much fire, so much energy,
Hmm.
so much joy, and that's the stuff that you did not see in that first month and a half. You
No.
you were seeing a team that was flat. Seeing a team that was sloppy, a
Yep.
team that was just a shell of itself in every
Hmm.
facet of the game. And you saw the Mariners that got to the ALCS. You
Hmm.
saw that team the last 6 games. You've seen it. You've seen what got them there, and if this team can play like this, they're going to get right back there and probably get further. So
Hmm. I agree.
cream always rises to the top. It's 162 for a reason. A little bit of
Yep.
a slow start there, but again, something we've been saying kind of at nauseum is they did a good job of treading water, and now that they did
Yep.
that, they aren't buried. They're not sitting there trying to crawl out of a hole the way that the Tigers are, or look at the
Hmm.
standings board the way that the Mets are behind me.
Right.
They were able to tread water when they weren't playing great ball, and now that they've gotten themselves out of that funk, I think they're right
Hmm.
in the spot that they should be. And again, treading water is a real skill, and there's a little bit of credit that needs to be given to the Mariners. They were able to do
Sure.
that.
Yep.
This season could have gotten off the rails, and it never did. It felt like it was verging on it a few times, but it never got off the
Hmm.
rails. It never did. So,
Yep.
um, with that, I guess I'll give I never do this because this is only our second time on YouTube, but give us a like, subscribe, and leave a comment because all that stuff helps with the algorithm and it'll help it get out to more people. So if you're able to like, comment, subscribe, maybe even share it with somebody, um, you know, that stuff all helps.
Mhm.
Even if you didn't like this video, in terms of like literally liking it, still subscribe and then never watch us again. Just ignore all
Like
the
it
videos
anyway.
that like it, then just forget about us. That
Yeah.
really helps. So, all right. Well, go Mariners, and we'll catch you next time. Peace.